Hello, everybody. It is Christine here with the Co-Living Code Show, another episode. And now, you know what? We're bringing on just people from around the world. You guys know that. These are conversations that I'm lucky enough to have on my own and figured, hey, why don't we do this on a weekly basis with all of you guys listening and watching? Today, we do have Or on from Venn City. He is the CEO and founder. He started Venn City in Israel back in 2016. Now they have locations over in Brooklyn. They also have Berlin. I know he's going to talk about their fast growth. I know they're getting ready to open up about 10 more locations very soon here. So welcome to this show, Or thank you so much for coming on. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at why you decided to start Venn City.
Oh, wow. It's kind of a very, very long story, but in a nutshell, it started by us, my two co-founders and I, looking for a place to live. We love the city. We lived in Tel Aviv, and we felt that we are looking for something different, from a different experience to live in the city, when we know our neighbors, when we can create our own neighborhoods. We realized that we actually have the ability to choose where and how we want to live. And one day we came across a neglected neighborhood in the south district of Tel Aviv, and we fell in love in the vibe and the charm of the neighborhood. And we realized there is kind of a huge opportunity to build something real for ourselves. It happened by coincidence. And the moment we came there, we realized that this is the place that we can build our own neighborhood with the people who already live there and with our friends who can come with us. So we decided to build a small community, started with 10 people. And after a few months that we moved there, which was something pretty crazy to do, we took a map and we drew on a map how the neighborhood of our dream can look like. And we gained a lot of people around us to support ideas, people who already live in the neighborhood for 20, 30 years, and newcomers. And together we draw on this map how a real neighborhood that we want to live can look like. And for 10 months, we actually made it happen. We opened the first co-working space, and then we opened the first coffee shop, and then we opened a music room, and a culture center, an art center. And the tipping point was in a moment that we gathered 25 artists, local artists from the neighborhood who already lived there for a long time. And together we create this event called Made in Shapira. Shapira is the name of the neighborhood. And we invited 250 people, and 2,500 people came from all around Tel Aviv. Yeah. And it was like, okay, we realized we are onto something much bigger than what we expected. And in this moment, it changed from our personal story for something that we want to share with a lot of people. And this is how this movement started.
That is amazing. So 2,500 people ended up showing up to that event. So then how many rooms, so to put it in perspective of how fast you guys have grown since 2016, like how many rooms or beds do you guys have total currently between all the locations?
So it started with 3 buildings. Today we manage 25 buildings across those 3 neighborhoods, and we're growing pretty fast. So I believe that by the end of this year we will probably going to be double than that in those 3 locations. And in the next month we will announce where are the next locations, and we're probably going to grow double every 6 months in the next 5 years. So it's not about the building, it's more about the neighborhood. On the neighborhood level, we're trying to create diversity as much as we can. We're going to have few shared co-living buildings, but the idea is to create this diversity around the neighborhood that combine the spaces, the buildings, and students can find themselves, couples can find themselves in those buildings, families, and to grow with the neighborhood. And all the idea is to change a bit the perspective of if we build it, they will come, to if they build it, they will stay. And this is what it's all about. It's letting the people to build their own neighborhood. So it's not a specific building or 2 building or 3 building. It's about creating the whole experience in the neighborhood.
I love that. Okay. And then how many occupants do you guys have, you think, total between these communities?
So today we have a little bit more than 500 members, and a waiting list of 1,200 people who are going to join us in the next month. So this is like the official number.
Nice. Okay. And then let's talk about, because you're talking about community, and I love what you said about, if they build it, they will stay, because you're right. They build their own community how they want it, and they'll stay forever, right? So you guys recently published, and I just came across it by accident, you guys did like a impact report, like based on the positive impact you guys have had across different sectors, happiness, sustainability. So can you dive into that? Was that the first time you guys published that report?
Yeah, so we realized that, first of all, the report published a month ago. We created this team ran by Liane Polak. She created this team, and she ran all the aspect of the impact, the measurement, because it's pretty challenging to create this baseline, and where do you start, what do you measure, and how you create this measurement that people actually can resonate and connect. And we started by how can we measure life satisfaction among the people who live in the neighborhood. It doesn't matter if they are Venn members or like resident in the neighborhoods or people who have their own small businesses. And we developed it step by step with a lot of collaborators. And then Amir joined Lian, and we actually built this team that tried to create measurements around creating new jobs, how people feel when they walk down the neighborhood, how many cohesions we created in our shared spaces, how many small businesses started or startups started in our spaces, how many services we created on a local basis, how many things we created that we didn't have before. That support the people who live in the neighborhood. And on top of all that, we realize that one of the biggest responsibilities that we have is to create solution for displacement. And this is probably the most exciting part. How can you create solutions and program working with the local government and the municipality in order to bring affordable housing solution and rent to buy schemes? And this is probably the most exciting part that we are working on today. And I hope that in October, November, December, this is what we predict for the announcement. We're going to announce the first program here in New York, in Berlin, and Tel Aviv for the first rent to buy schemes in our model. And this is probably going to change everything, because it's bring the power to the members. It bring this ownership of creating their own neighborhood and feel this sense of ownership and belonging to the neighborhood.
No, and we've actually talked a couple times on the show about fractional ownership. So this rent to buy, would this be fractional ownership, or would it be, how are you guys going to set it up?
So it's probably will go to this direction. It's probably go to own their own rooms. Because people cannot afford themselves to have their own apartment, and we want to create with third parties and with the municipality the ability to own rooms and not necessarily own their whole apartment because they cannot afford themselves.
Love that. Okay, cool. So you guys are you going to start that? You're working on that in New York or back in Tel Aviv?
So we're working on it worldwide, but it's very it's in the beginning because there is a lot of regulations. But soon we're going to find out which market going to be the first one. We're already ready, but we will announce it around December.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. No, I love that idea. You're exactly right. It's not affordable anymore to buy a whole house. And, if they could just own even their own room, there's that pride of ownership, right? That they actually own a piece of real estate. It doesn't have to be the whole apartment or the whole building. So that is exciting. So that's in the works, it sounds like, later 2019. And then how many locations are you guys? I think you said you guys are going to add 10 different locations, like really quickly.
Yeah. So it's not the time now yet, but we will announce it pretty shortly. I believe in the next 6 months. We have 5 teams now working around the world. It's very exciting. Yeah, it's going to be out soon.
Good,
Stay
perfect.
tuned.
Okay, stay tuned, everybody. And so how about as far as how long can people stay there total? Is it, do you guys have nightly, weekly, monthly? Do you guys have a minimum stay?
So we don't have a minimum stay. We encourage everybody to sign at least for 1 year. The basic contract is for 1 year, and it can go up to 5 years. Today we have people who signed 5 years contract. The idea is not to lock the people in the building. They can live whenever they want, but they need to sign a list of at least 1 year, because it's about building the community. We want to believe that people who come as a student will grow with the neighborhood, and they will raise their family in the neighborhood, and they will be part of opening the kindergarten, will be a part of opening maybe the school, and be part of all the things and facilities that are happening in the neighborhood. And we believe that they will stay, and they will stay because they build it.
And then kind of it's similar because like the We Company, they have their school now, and they have the fitness center and the living, We Live and We Work and co-working. So it's all kind of under one brand. Do you guys partner with different businesses in the community, or are you guys kind of taking over some of those aspects?
So our way of doing it is a little bit different. We are more on the collaboration side. We work with local small businesses, with the local government, with the local school, and the magic happens when you get into a Venn neighborhood. You realize it's a Venn neighborhood because you see it's different. It's not the same. Each and every neighborhood look a bit different according to the culture, to the people who build it. So it's more the platform than something that it is what it is, and we will build it for you. It's more, we will give you the space, and you will do whatever you want. We will give you the tools. We will give you the app. We will give you the operations that you need in order to open your small business, open your own space. It can be co-working space, music room, wellness center, gym. Today we have more than 30 spaces in the Shapira neighborhood in Tel Aviv, and it's probably 90% of those spaces operate and built by the community. We just help them make it happen.
No, I love that. And so I had another question. Oh, the co-working space. So do you guys, is that like a separate building, or is that within the actual same house? Or does it depend on the location?
So the whole idea is creating movement in the neighborhood. It's a mile by mile radius in most cases. And the idea is to take the members, the people who live in the neighborhood outside the building to see familiar faces. When we draw this map that I mentioned, the whole idea was I want to wake up in the morning, walk down the street and see familiar faces until I'm getting into the coffee shop. And the barista going to know my name, and he will ask me, you want your regular one? And then I'll go to the co-working space. In the co-working space, there are people that they are probably my neighbors. So the whole idea is to create this movement in the neighborhood. And when I want to go to a yoga class, I'm going 2 blocks away, and there is a yoga teacher who she is my neighbor, and I saw a few times, and she actually know my name. So it's not about the building, it's about creating a home outside your home called the neighborhood.
And do you live because you're in New York right now, do you live mainly in New York, or do you jump around?
So I jump around from a neighborhood to the other neighborhood. Yeah, I'm splitting my time now mostly in New York because this is our growing neighborhood at the moment, and we just established the team here, and we have the first members, and it's happening. So most of the time I'm here. But yeah, I have my home in the Shapira neighborhood, and when I'm going to Berlin, I stay in Friedrichshain. So it's a movement.
And of course, everybody knows you in all the neighborhoods, I'm sure, right?
So at the beginning, all the neighbors. We call our members neighbors. So all the neighbors know each other, knows us, and today it's more than 500 people. So I definitely know them by face. I'm not sure I remember all the names, but I see them and I feel that we hang few times, at least few times.
That's fair. That's fair. And then you have a big team also. So how many staff do you guys have there at Venn City?
So today we are more than 75, maybe after yesterday even 80. So it's growing fast, and it's amazing because last January yesterday we have our all hand, and we mentioned that last January, a year and a half ago, we were 7 people, and
Oh
today
my gosh.
and today it's almost 80. So it's growing fast, and probably next year we're going to be double than that. So moving.
It sounds like it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk technology because nowadays there's new ways of communicating, between the neighbors, I'm sure, and there's, smart homes, smart apartments, like so many ways you can use technology. How are you guys using it right now?
So the whole idea behind Venn is to use technology in order to connect people in real life. We're trying to encourage the community to meet each other in event spaces. So, for instance, today you have this one-of-a-kind app that you can interact with Vinny. Vinny is your neighborhood buddy, and you can ask whatever you want from Vinny. It's probably going to be mostly around your hustles, your cleaning, your leaks, your laundry. If you need anything, you're locked outside your door, and so on. And you have the interaction with the community manager that definitely know her or him. And in the community manager, you can create like events. We give today in Shapira, more than 50 events a month. And 90%, by the way, of the events are being created by the members, this is exactly what we're trying to do, and it's amazing to see how it happened, and it's growing, and you can actually create your own events in the spaces. You can book a room, you can book a space, you can create everything that you need. You can invite people from the neighborhood to open groups, and you can become a vendor in the neighborhood as a member. So you can be a service provider in the neighborhood, and this is how the local economy is starting. And today we have more than 27 vendors who are members, for instance, in the Shapira neighborhood. And here we just launched it. We are about to launch it next week in New York, and we expect that a lot of our members are going to start to be vendors by themselves and to start to build this all local economy. And of course, you can change rooms because you want to change places in the neighborhood, and you can do everything by the app. So this is mostly about it.
Now, what are some examples of vendors? Would they be like people that want to clean, people that do any type of like graphic design work? Like, what are some examples of vendors within your own economy that you guys are creating?
So it can go from the grocery supplier to through the yoga teacher, all the way to the kindergarten. We didn't expect to open a kindergarten in the neighborhood, and then Tal, about a year ago, she said that her dream is to open a kindergarten, and we actually made it happen. It was 16 couples in the Shapira neighborhood who were looking for a kindergarten for their children, and Tal wanted to be a teacher. She is a teacher, and she wanted to open a kindergarten. So we gave her the space, and we helped with the regulation, and we helped to formulate everything together and to do the renovation. And she became a service provider, but it's much more than that. She is like the teacher in the kindergarten, and this is the whole community now around children is around Tal. So this is just a glimpse and small example for hundreds of examples that happening every day in the Venn neighborhoods.
And no, and again, everybody listening and watching, like, please look up their impact report. Like, it is this beautiful multi-page PDF. I forget how many pages. It's huge, but just showing this amazing positive impact you guys are having on these communities within Venn and on the outside of it. So I definitely want people to check that out. And you said that was 18 months you guys tracked to do that report. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then it's quarterly, you guys are going to put it out?
So we're going to put it out quarterly from now, and hopefully by the beginning of next year, it will start to be published on a monthly basis. You can find it today on our website, and yeah.
I don't know. I love your guys' website domain. It's venn.city. So it's really easy for you guys to look up. Those are watching and listening right now. So let's see. Let's talk about your personal, and yeah, we can see the passion you have for your community that you're building. But what's your personal favorite part about co-living in general?
So my main excitement about Venn, or about this, but what we build, is the neighboring experience, as we call it. It's not about the co-living, but more about the experience you create in your own neighborhood and build a home outside your home, as we said it. And probably the most exciting part is splitting to two dimensions. One is, today I know that each and every neighborhood out of the 100 that we are about to build in the next 5 years going to be different. And it's going to be different because it's going to be built by the neighbors. And because they're going to build it, I'm going to feel very excited to come and see different cultures. And I probably want to move every month to a different neighborhood, even it's going to be in Brazil, in Rio, Tel Aviv, Friedrichshain in Berlin, London, New York, Barcelona. It's going to be different. And this is very, very exciting. On the other hand, I believe that because people are going to actually build their own neighborhood, we're going to see those two methods become a standard. The first is return of investment and building like sustainable business. And on the other hand, social return of investment, SROI, which become pretty known today, but we want to pioneer this idea of measuring double bottom line, putting out together our P&L while putting out this impact report. This is the perfect combination, and we believe that this is going to be standard. This is really, really exciting us.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And no, you're right. I think a lot of people talk about that double or triple bottom line, but then I don't see the action. I don't see it being executed. Like I'm like, okay, how are you guys doing this global impact? Like what are the results? And that's the first thing when I read that report, I was like, wow, like they're really making this amazing positive impact. And you can see that in the numbers. And so when you were just talking about all these different cities, and I think that is, this future of living, it's being able to jump from major cities around the world and not being locked into leases. Obviously you guys are trying to build community. You say ideally you want them, there for a year, but within that year, is it very flexible for them to jump within different Venn communities?
Absolutely. This is the whole idea, because we know that people today are much more mobile than in the past, and they need solution when they're going into a new city, and they need their body to tell them what are the nice places and where they can find like what they need. And of course, in 5 years, they're going to find it obviously in the Venn neighborhood. So a Venn neighbor, when he or she moved from New York to different city, this is going to be the obvious solution in my point of view. I want to refer to one more thing about the impact report, that we want to invite every company, every person who want to learn more about how to measure. We believe that to create it together, it's much stronger, and it's like an open source. We want to share. We would love to get some more notes and to learn together.
Love that. No, great. No, thank you for offering that, because you're exactly right. When you open it up, you'd get even that much more feedback and data on like what are the true measurables on how people live and what makes them happy. I know people talk about the loneliness epidemic, but again, then we need to figure out the best ways to solve for that. And yeah, if we start measuring things, then that will help tremendously. So, Or, my last question for you is, where do you personally see the future of living? Not even just co-living, but living in neighborhoods and communities. Like, where do you see that going?
So, For me, it's pretty obvious that neighborhood going to be operated differently. We were probably going to see more and more concept like Venn in the future. We're starting it, the neighboring experience, but I believe and I hope that more and more communities in the local neighborhood will start to realize that they have their own ability to build their own neighborhood, to be part of it. And today, technology can help a lot. And we invited, by the way, every community that want to learn and want to know how to do that to come to the Venn neighborhoods to find us, and we're going to definitely help to make it happen. And for me, it's absolutely the future. I think you are much more your neighborhood than you are your city, and you are much more your city that sometimes bigger than that, because where you choose to live, it's more than your building, but it's very, very, very close to the definition of your neighborhood. It tells so much about you, about your community. This is the people that you see on a daily basis. This is where you drink your coffee. This is where you're going to work. This is where you send your children to school. There's so many things related to your own neighborhood, and I think it's super powerful. And once people understand that they have the ability to create and recreate inside their neighborhood, this is the future.
Perfect. What a perfect way to end. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. We'll have all the information on the show notes if you guys want to check them out and go visit, take his invitation and go visit one of their amazing neighborhoods. And thank you so much, Or. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you want to learn more about co-living, you could check out my book on Amazon, The Co-Living Code. And of course, if you're looking for the perfect software to power your co-living concept, check out Kndrd.io, Kndrd.io. Thanks.